Welcome to the Daybreak.
And we are on with game number 2 between Curious and Rain, starting to the top right of the map. The 2-player map. In red we have our Zerg player for the Startail team. This is
Startail, Curious.
And he's not impressed.
No,
He really is.
He's the emotionless guy.
Yeah, he's not Flash, but well...
Of course, down the top, or rather bottom left in the blue for the team SK Telecom T1, he is...
SK Telecom T1, Rain.
And I wanted to mention that the voice actress for the map intros is actually the voice actress from Korea who does the intros for League of Legends map,
Yep.
Summoner's Rift. So that's really cool. When you hear the Korean intro that she does, it sounds like exactly like the voice that it is. When I heard that, I was like, oh, it's definitely true.
Yeah, earlier they had a few test runs here in the studio, and that's when we could listen to it, so that was actually really interesting. And yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's cool that Guam was able to get such cool voice actors. Like we had the Korean voice actor for the Marine doing the intros, and then now we have the League of Legends one.
And if you think about it, she started with League of Legends, now she does the voice intros for StarCraft 2. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. She's branching out a little bit. This drone is a little bit low on hit points, but he will be able to save it.
Yeah, most likely. There we go. Extract the trick to save it. And we actually have a hatch first.
Yeah.
Wow.
Versus Nexus first.
This is really interesting because, well, a hatch first on this map, you can pull it off, but we've seen so many players already fall victim to some kind of cannon pressure. That is the one thing that you're really, like, a little bit afraid of as a Zerg. When you start with a hatch first, you give your opponent the opportunity to cannon you if he starts with an early forge. This was not the case for Rain. He started with a Nexus first, which will give him an edge in, of course, the economy. But it's going to be interesting to see how exactly Rain is going to approach this.
And you know what's cool is Rain went to verify the gas, because if you're a Pro-Ops player and you see that gas like that with the drone that was weak, you're thinking, or is he canceling that just to save the drone, or is he actually mining the gas? I got to find out. And he continues to scout, making sure that that is mining. He's going to want to find out how much mining is being done, but with the timing of the pool here, he's not going to be able to stick around too long. Knows that Curious, for the reason you mentioned about the cannoning earlier, has a drone checking around behind those minerals, making sure nothing fishy's going on.
But think about what an aggressive opening this is in economy.
Yeah.
This is like really great. He doesn't only start with a hatch first. No, this guy goes for gas. He immediately starts mining and then goes for the spawning pool. This is like very, very greedy, and it's pretty cool. He's basically just banking on the fact that he knows his opponent doesn't have as much experience as he does, might not be able to use all the openings that he gets. And this is pretty amazing by Curious. We saw already in the first game that a lot of mining games are going on here, and with the performance that he's shown against Greater Prime in the third round of Code A, this guy in this matchup against Protoss really a force to reckon with.
Yeah, he certainly has been, and I'm liking his pro positioning here, seeing it way down to the south, and Curious is just barely going to miss it. Now he's pulled drones except for one out of gas, which will mean that he's got a little bit of gas later on to go for his tech, but it's going to mean he wants a faster third here, and this is exactly what Rain wants to check for. Seeing no third for him is actually going to be a little bit concerning, and there's not really much else he's going to be able to see when the Queen is out here with the extra range that it has now. Not going to be able to get up that ramp. He's not even going to try. Oh, wow. What a probe. Gets in there.
That was really well done. And he moves in, he checks the gas, he knows exactly how much gas was mined. But still a lot of drones here. He's droning up like crazy. Didn't send over another one in order to get the third base just yet. But this is looking pretty good for Curious so far. Stargate transition now for Rain. Of course, he has to make a choice here. Usually what a Protoss player would do on a map like Daybreak is to go for a two-base timing attack. We've seen a few of them just lately trying to focus a bit more on the third base. But the Stargate, that's very MC-like for him.
Yeah. And look at this lair time for Curious. It's pretty quick. He's got the speed out, and he had the extra gas that he was mining from earlier.
You see that? How he checked if the Zealot was really on hold position this time. Just moving in and having a quick look. It's like, okay, did you forget hold position again? No? Well, then I guess I have to go back.
Yeah, worth a shot. You know, he didn't even take a single hit on those lings. Now, he did actually position an Overlord to spot for these gases. Doesn't see the forge spinning either, so a lot of information for Curious right now, which means that he can take his third as he gets his lair up because he knows there's no fast +1 timing coming.
But this is crazy. This guy, I mean, this build that he's using here, of course, now he has a few Zerglings on the map, but think about how fast this tech is. He gets the tech before he starts with his hatch. He's getting now the third. And with all the gas that he has, I think he has by now he has three extractors. might get a fourth. I'm curious to see what he's going to do. Will he go for the Spire? Will we see him with the Infestation Pit? Both of them are possible. Spire would be more aggressive, Infestation Pit a little bit safer.
I really like this build by Curious because he's got the Lair and the Hatchery. He's seen no +1.
And he's going for the Spire.
He knows, yeah, he's going for the Spire. He knows that his opponent made the second cannon. And he's like thinking to himself, all right, well, I've already scared you a little bit. Aggressive opening from me with the gas. This is something you're not really familiar with. You're a little bit concerned about. No one would really be familiar with this. Even a regular GSL player would be a little bit freaked out by this. And now, Infestation Pit coming up instead of Spire, he cancels it, knowing that the Phoenix is out, that he's going to see this, and I like this choice. It's great against Stargate play as well.
That was a really great opening. I love it because what Curious basically did, as now the Void Ray is starting to work at the third base, the Queens are of course walking over, and Curious did not waste any time building additional anti-air. But what Curious' train of thought was like, he scouted everything, he knew about the timings, he went for a very, very greedy build, and he got away with it. He then took the gas, he went straight for the Spire, the aggressive variation. He could have gone for the Infestation Pit, but he decided to be aggressive. When he spotted this Stargate, he knew though that it would be really hard for him to pull off a Mutalisk play. So the transition back into Infestors, cancelling the Spire, enabling him to defend here, really, really well done.
Yeah, quite
I like how he
flexible.
approaches this.
He's playing the strategy really aggressively and how he techs and expands, but he's just also being showing that he can change up his style. It's not a rigid build. Got to be careful with these Phoenixes. You know, back at home, Rain is getting a robotic support band, adding 5 more gates. He's going to put him at 6 in total. And it looks like he wants to attack off the 2 bases here. He's not going to be playing for the long game. Getting an Immortal out now as well. Basically trying to fool his opponent into thinking, okay, I'm just going to be doing a little bit of pressure with my Stargate play, then taking a third. It's not going to be the case here.
This is also a little bit dangerous for Rain. Of course, he wants to do some damage. He wants to at least kill it. There it is, a Queen, of course, Overlords. He's taking down 1. Is the Transfuse ready? Yes, it is.
And
he
with
saves
six more Queens besides that one, he's got 7 in total. And this Stargate play is not doing a lot of damage right now.
Nope.
He's not going to make a Hydro stand.
He's not going to do any damage with this at all, and the extra Queens will of course also enable him to save the Overlord, another Transfuse hit home, and he can use them to spread the creep a lot faster. The Infestors are now on the map, and now Rain has to be very, very careful with the Chain Fungals. It's going to be interesting to see though what exactly Curious is going to do against this. There it is, the Spire. I was just about to say what he's going to do against the Colossi, and he builds the Spire so that he's ready for it. He also sees the attempt of getting a third. Curious with a great approach.
This third base is a little bit strange, I feel, with no damage being done with these Phoenixes here. It's just going to be a little bit late, but it's going to be the last thing Curious, I think, expects at this point. Like you said, getting the Spire, preparing for the eventuality of Colossi, transfusing, keeping his Overlords alive. This is, I think, the least damage I've ever seen from a Stargate play, ever. And Rain is now kind of forced to fall back on this third base. He's going to maybe see this hatchery if he sticks around with his Phoenixes. But look at how aggressive Curious is with his Queens even.
Nice pickoff here though.
Denies the third. That's so important. That's so much time lost. And he gets away from the Infestors. He hasn't lost anything with his Phoenixes yet. He may finally get an Overlord. Yeah.
This is, I think, the second or the third Overlord that he killed in total, and this is not really worth all that much. And I have to admit that how Curious plays here is really, really nice to observe. At the same time, though, if Rain is trying to establish his third base, it can hold. It would be really important to him. But I am really sure that Curious with him taking a fourth now, with him getting his tech up, even starting with a Hive tech already, will start to at least get in there with a fewer lings, go for hold position, and take apart a few drones if possible.
And look at this, 16 drones on the way, speaking of that, and that's going to put his worker count up to 88. A little bit Bolt style here, and he's actually just continuing to send lings to the Watchtower, but there's a Void Ray there. I'm a little bit surprised he's not decided to get that with the Void Ray, because he does hold the Watchtower at the time, even with the lings being attacked by the Void Ray, so he knows that there's no way he's going to lose those Infestors. But either way, he's just going to let the Watchtower be denied by Rain. Rain adding a few more gates as a wall here, just wants to stick with the 3 base for some time here. With the +2, Blink on the way, he's getting Templar Archives. The problem for him, though, is with no aggression and with Curious basically having all the tech connected, plus a 4th base, he's going to be in a great position. Rain needs to do something here aggressively.
What really worries me a little bit for Rain is that this is the style of play where Curious is really comfortable in. We've seen it against Creator. So right now going up against him in this macro-oriented style where Curious had no problems in the early game to defend his bases, to get his tech up, his economy up in his tower, taking base after base, spreading his creep, getting his tech and everything ready. This is really dangerous for Rain.
And dangerous for Curious is this attack, but he's seen it now. He's already got some Corruptors out. He's making 5 Spines, and he's got all the Infestor energy in the world to hold this off.
Rain now with the Warp Prism, a good decision here to open up another front and to make sure that Curious has to split his army a little bit.
And he spotted the Greater Spire timing, so he knows this is a good moment to attack. He knows, okay, the Greater Spire is getting closer to being finished. I can hit right now. He may not have enough units, but these Infestors are oh so critical in holding here. Gets the Observer, which means no more vision for Rain on the approach. He's going to try to force Curious home.
And the Warp Prism is going to be so important. Is he able to take down the Greater Spire? This would be like winning the lottery for him. But he's just warping in a few units that Curious cannot see. Nice, well-placed moves in at the 4th at the same time. And here come the attacks by Rain. Curious with a Spinecrawler wall once more. But he has a few Spinecrawlers also in the main base, and they defend against the Zealot aggression.
Yeah, it looks like Rain is just going to go for it. Looking a little bit desperate here with his approach. Great bungles so far, and the Spines are doing so much damage. The Colossi starting to fall to the Corruptors here, and the Spines are just worth their weight in minerals now. Infested Terrans pushing this back as well. The Zealots in the main base are cleaned up, and Rain, with his next round of units, is going to have to actually fall back. Even with these next Stalkers, he does not have enough DPS. He doesn't have +3. He can't break through that many Spines.
It's a forest of Spinecrawlers at the 4th base. He cannot break through here. He traded fairly efficiently. Well,
no.
Actually, no, he didn't.
You and I had the same feeling on that one, man. I was like, well, I guess it was okay, but no.
No, it was not.
I mean, honestly, like...
The resources lost, guys, are currently at 6,500 for the Protoss and 3,500 for Curious. Lings are running in right now. Those Infestors sure did their damage, and now the Broodlords are ready, and we are miles, we are hours away from a fleet peak.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. The Broodlord's coming in from the flank here, a second Spire going up. He's that ahead, he can do it. Queen falls here on the right, but he's losing so many probes. The drones come out, the Stalkers blink back, but they're running out of places to escape to, and Rain finds himself surrounded, very desperate here. He needs another blink. He will get it, and he's got some harass, going on in the main.
This is the one thing where things can get scary. If the Hive dies and he's losing additional attack, then of course it can get a little bit out of control, but the supply is now in favor of Curious once more. He has a little bit of a bank, he has the tech. Curious, I don't know.
He doesn't hesitate to make Spines.
The Hive is gone. The Hive is gone, he starts his tech.
Lair.
He needs to get a hold of this Warp Prism. This is what Rain really does extremely well here. This aggression, he never stopped it.
Yeah, that's very true. I love how Curious is just like, nope. 3 Spinecrawlers in my mineral line just in case. About 8 to 10 at my 4th base, and also 1 at the 3rd. He just doesn't hesitate to make Spines, and that's awesome because that's the reason why he held so well here. Now he's got a 50 supply lead. Yeah, his tech is a little bit lopsided right now, but he still has that Greater Spire. He still has a 2nd Spire up as well. And Storm is on the way, but he's not going to be able to hold on much longer, and here's the Corruptor spots the Warp Prism.
Exactly. This time he needs to take it down, and he knows it. With the charge upgrade, the Zealots are moving in. The Spinecrawlers are not ready just yet, but I think he will not be able to kill them. Archon's now in the mix for our Casper player. Rain is on the move, and he did damage in the main base. The Zealots are there, but the Spinecrawlers not just yet. A few Infested Terrans, that's all that he can rely on to now. There is done. Now he needs to go for the Hive again. He can save his infestation bit. Really important here. And Rain, I love it. He goes immediately for another Warp Prism. He knows that this was basically his hold that he had on Furious. So he's just trying to do it again.
He's like, well, this is the one thing that's worked for me so far. This is where you seem to be a little bit weak in defending. +3 is done for his units as well. He can use this Warp Prism to reinforce. And if he circumvents the Spines, he does still have a very strong army here.
Curious has to be careful, indeed. Yeah. The game went well, up to the point where he suddenly lost this Hive tech. He has to collect himself, has to play safe now. He knows there's a 4th base coming up for his opponent. So he's not out of this just yet. He's in a good spot. With all the upgrades that he's researching, of course, too. But now he needs to bring it home.
Yeah, Curious cannot get complacent here. He's not that far ahead in supply. He's not mining from his main at all. He did save it, but he doesn't have any more Hive Tech. There it is. 3 additional Broodlords on the way. That puts his Corruptor count relatively low, though. And the Fleet Beacon is on the way. This is unfortunate for Rain. Gets spotted. He will be able to save the Warp Prism, but he's not going to be able to use it. And in fact, he may lose those Corruptors, which are actually really important right now.
After the first fight, things look very, very grim for Rain, but now he bought himself some time. The Broodlords are on the map without any anti-air whatsoever. They just try to move in and do some damage in the main base. But
This is really interesting.
Rain bought himself time. He did this aggression in the main base, and this was what worked. So right now, he needs to make sure that he's getting even with Curious. the Zerg player for the Startail team with the main of his force still in the middle of the map. He's trying to establish additional bases and to get further ahead once more.
This style that we're seeing from Curious attacking the main base with Broodlords alone is like a little bit how Guardians were used in StarCraft 1. But in this case, Broodlords cannot stand alone, and they will actually be targeted down. 2 of them. 2 Broodlords for 1 Stalker is a great trade. Well, he's losing a little bit more than that, but he takes out the base at the bottom right. No cancel. And Rain is slowly but steadily kind of getting himself back into this game.
Rain is dangerous here. As said, he bought himself time and he's putting it to some good use. This is epic though. A lot of infested Terrans. Can he take down the base? This is the main question now.
I think he will if he targets. He's going to be able to get that Nexus. He's unpowering the gateways as well. And gets away with all of the infestors, trading a lot of energy here. But a very good trade, getting the Nexus. This is an important mining base for Rain right now.
He's out of energy of the infestors, of course, but now the mothership is also on its way. We don't have Neural Parasite just yet for Curious, but a very interesting game here. And the Casper player, he's fighting. He is holding on to this. He does not want to go down 2-0. Once again, the Warp Prism. I love how he uses it, but Curious is ready. Curious is in position with Corruptors. He wants to make sure that there is no Warp in this time.
And 2 of the Corruptors dying. 1 barely escapes there with just a hit point left, but losing those Corruptors is not good. But the Warp Prism harass shut down, which is much more important. Zealot's over here to deny another 5th base, so he's not going to be able to send that drone over there, not going to be able to use this. The Mothership is one of the scariest things, and you mentioned it already, is it's 3/4 of the way done. No 3rd base remade for Rain just yet, so you can see he's kind of stagnant in his economy a little bit here. Losing the Zealots now, the base will finally be taken. Army supply relatively even here, but Curious, I think, still has a great foothold as far as tech goes, but the Mothership is something he's going to have to be careful about. We've seen it on Ohana. We saw it just in his last match, that he is really comfortable. He took out Creator with great patience, and this is the same type of scenario. I think he's kind of, as long as he doesn't make the mistakes, as long as he plays similarly to what we did last time, what we saw, he's going to be okay.
He was a lot farther ahead though, and at this point we have also for Rain getting the Warp Prism speed, an upgrade that he would have loved to have a little bit earlier here, because this is what really brings him back in the game over and over again. And Rain, I like how he does this. He didn't give up, and he saw an opportunity, he took it, he got even with Curious again. And yes, Curious is a little bit ahead in this game, but still he has to be careful, and now the Infestors get spotted, and he's going to lose every single one of them. And this is not only really expensive, this is something that is, strategically speaking, really devastating for Curious now. Rain is up against a Zerg player that has only 7 Infestors now on the map, just lost about the same amount. And this must feel so good. The Casper player now probably just thinking, okay, well, that was important, and I have to make sure that I can capitalize on it.
I really like how Curious is using these Broodlords, though, on this map. This is not something we see all too often used like this, coming into the main base again. Meanwhile, he's getting drops +3 for his infested Terrans. He's getting Neural +2 and a Nidus network. He is just saying, well, not only am I going to play the late game defensively, but also I'm going to open up a lot of avenues of attack.
And he's attacking the 3rd while he's going into the main base, and Rain at this point doesn't even split his army. He's using his entire army to take down the Zerglings up to the top left. They are burrowing, he can't even see them, and this gives the Broodlords the chance to move in and take down half the base, and therefore the production.
He took out the Templar Archives, which is really important, means no more Archons, no more Templar. A Nidus network is going up behind that new base. Actually, no, where is that Nidus network? Oh, he's actually going to try to defend these Broodlords from the ground with Infestors. This is sick. We've seen him do this against Terran players in the past. Lenok has done this as well. But against a Protoss, this is something a little bit different.
He can't get into the main base, and he knows it with the infested Terrans available, and also the fungal on the ramp at the funnel. He can't not defend this. He's losing those gates. He's losing the production.
Yeah, so many gateways lost here. Now we can actually just escape out of the Nidus. The Protoss army has come all the way home, so he can go home to the Nidus, unload all of his units. He's going to be fine against any counterattacks he faces. And Curious is playing this very aggressively, forces a storm out at the top right with those burrowed Zerglings that you mentioned. And so far, so good for him. At this point, his Broodlord count is starting to get out of control, going up to 16 here. The Mothership thus far has not been useful.
And Curious also has the upgrades. +3 attack is now coming up, not only for the range units on the ground, but also, of course, for his air units. So a very great position for Curious to be in. He's working up a bank in minerals and gas. He has a bit of an edge in the army supply, and is going for another Nidus, this time to the top right at the expansion of his opponent. A great play by Curious here. Struggling a little bit in the mid-game. This is where Rain really shined, but now Curious is once again his old self.
Yep, and look at this, dropping Infested Terrans. He's just going to fight the cannon straight up, not even trying to sneak around the mineral line. He's attacking in the main base at the same time. So again, Rain is a little bit too split. Now he may catch some of these Corruptors on the retreaters. They're not very quick. He needs a blink.
The Broodlords need to be very careful here, and they get out just in time. That was very scary. He's not allowed to lose this army, at least not entirely, but the base is gone to the top left, and therefore we have the Protoss player on basically 2 mining bases, his 3rd and his 4th.
Look at how supply blocked he is, 156 out of 118. He's got 2,000 minerals, but he's not even rebuilding pylons yet. I think he's being way outclassed by Curious right now. His map movements are very evident by the fact he's got 1 hotkey for his entire army, and even if I didn't tell you guys that, you could tell by how he's moving that that's what's going on here. Dark Shrine, 7 additional pylons. Dark Shrine is pretty cool because he does have that Warp Prism speed he committed to earlier. Problem for him though is he has no Robo to make a Warp Prism to even make use of that, so the Dark Templar, with all these Spore Crawlers that have been made from Curious as well, are not necessarily going to do a lot of anything.
Curious is, of course, with winning against Creator now in Code S in the next season. So Rain up against the Code S player here, and Curious is exactly aware how to play this matchup. He's spreading his creep right now and moving forward with his wall, with his spine crawler wall. And that's going to be so dangerous for Rain to engage in. He needs to get a good win. For example, it would be so awesome for him to have a Vortex and a good Archon Toilet with 12 Archons in the mix. This is definitely going to be scary. But when Fungals hit and the Archons are not able to reach the Vortex, then this entire strategy just goes to hell.
Exactly. This is his one chance. But the problem is, once you break through all of the Broodlords and the Infestors, that's helpful, but he still has to get through the spines. So with Curious, he's banking all the larvae he has right now. He's got 45. He's still hitting his index. He's going to be totally able to remax. And look at this. More Infested Terrans going to be dropped here. It's going to shut down more production. All the pylons that have just been remade here are going to go down as well if he decides to really commit, and it looks like he is.
We just don't have enough observers on the map. He needs more observers in order to make sure that he knows when exactly the Broodlords are moving in, that he knows where the Infestors are. He needs more detection. He's getting the robotics again right now, but all these things could have happened a little bit earlier. He should have identified these problems, and he didn't. I don't really blame him because Curious keeps him on his toes. Every single time that he tries to move out, Curious is somewhere on the map trying to hit him again. And now he's messing up his control. Actually, I think he thought that these Infestors were already in the Nidus network.
Yeah, exactly. He's making 15 more Infestors right now, so which indicates he was not using those to free up supply.
Yeah.
And he's got +3 for his Infested Terrans. That's why they're able to kill those structures so fast. He even traded a few of those Infested Terrans for Archons. So in the end, even though he lost that, it was a great trade for him. Right now, he's about 7,000 resources, more cost efficient than his opponent. And Rain is moving out again. He wants to attack, but he has to hit the angle where the Broodlords are not. He's trying to abuse the immobility of the army. And this time, Curious can't use the Broodlords to pull him back because there's nothing left in the main to fight.
The big problem is simply that he needs to find an opening, and there just isn't one. But wherever he decides to fight, Curious will be in a good spot. The Stargate is now being rebuilt because he wants, of course, to give himself the opportunity to rebuild his mothership and maybe even start with a few anti-air units. The way that Curious used the Broodlords just is begging for some answer, for something that can take down those Broodlords when they are on top of the Abyss. And there they are, 3 additional Stargates.
Yep,
he's going for the +1 attack upgrade for his air units too.
And he's got the shield on the way, so he's going to have a decent amount of upgrades for these air units when they spawn. But what will be the air unit of choice? And I think Curious is going to be fine against this. There's so many Archons here, 12 of them, dropping some feedbacks. Curious has the Broodlords he needs. Where is the Vortex? There it is on the Corruptors. And he has to pull back the Broods right now. Infested Terrans being dropped. This is actually a great place for Rain to actually be able to engage because there's no spines to support, there's no creep.
There's no Archon Toilet either. He can't move in without fear of being fungal immediately. And so far that was actually really well played. The mothership is once again in dire straits, goes down. And here is Curious now with all them Infestors and of course also the Broodlords. I think this is lights out for Rain. If he doesn't get a good blink in here, he tries, but can he take down the Broodlords? I don't think so.
No, there's way too many, and they're positioned so well. The Stalkers can't blink forward. The Broodlings are blocking, and Bison, man, he is out of luck here, out of units. GG.